Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. Monday will mark the start of a citywide snow removal here in Lloydminster. The city will start by removing snow from the yellow and blue curbside collection zones, followed by the pink, green, and orange zones. Signage will be posted 36 to 48 hours before the removal begins, and residents are asked to remove vehicles, garbage carts, and other obstructions to give crews space to work.
It's going to take us a good 20 days to clear this much snow. I think that's the important piece to remember, is there's going to be an immense volume of snow. People, when they grade it into the middle, from the shoulders or from the edges of the street, you won't be able to get across this snowbank this time. I suspect we'll see a 6-foot ridge or better. So again, just be cautious, give us time, and we will get the job done.
The city says the snow removal will not impact the curbside collection schedule. While crews are in your neighborhood, the city asks drivers to stay at least 8 meters back from equipment and stay clear of snow piles and other equipment. And if there is another major snowfall, crews will move to clearing priority 1 and 2 routes before resuming the residential snow removal.
The budget calls for 1 full snow removal, so this is going to take care of that budgetary item for 2022, but we also built a reserve, and that was what we discussed. How many times will we have to do this? We haven't had to do that for a long time in one snow season per se, but we've already now basically, if you look at the winter from starting in the fall till now, we're in our second one. There may be a third one, and again, the city will look at the amount of snow, the safety of residents, the accessibility of emergency vehicles, garbage trucks, and all the pieces to it.
More details on the city's snow removal plans can be found at lloydminster.ca/snowOps. A new exhibit is running at the Lloydminster Museum and Archives that explores how Métis culture is portrayed in history. Our Nicole Gruber has more on this story.
Hiding in Plain Sight, Discovering the Métis Nation is an exhibition that the Library and Archives Canada developed to showcase a portrayal of Métis people in history.
It's an exploration of kind of the history of the Métis, the culture of the Métis, based on archival, photographic, and art reproductions from the Library and Archives Canada. So it aims to give a better understanding of the Métis Nation of Canada.
The exhibit aims to have a better understanding of the history of Métis culture, and all the artifacts have a local connection.
The artifacts that you will see in this exhibit were all graciously loaned to us from a local Métis citizen, so they have local roots.
Along with the exhibit, there are several programs the museum offers that tie into Métis traditions. There are programs for both adults and children.
These programs are led by people of First Nations and Métis descent, some of them knowledge keepers, some of them elders. We went through Lakeland College, their Indigenous coordinator, as well as facets through the city to find local Indigenous knowledge keepers, elders, or other individuals who were interested in teaching these classes.
Some of the classes available are a blanket exercise, beadworking, and ribbon skirt making. The exhibit is open till April 16th, and the programs can be found at lloydminster.ca/register. With Primetime Local News, I'm Nicole Gruber.
I-Corps blood testing was recently the subject of scrutiny after a clinic in Lacrete led to their CEO to saying some controversial comments. With the company's plans for a pop-up clinic here in the border city come February, our Tate Laycraft took time to learn some more.
Today on Primetime Local News, I'm joined by I-Corps Blood Services CEO Mike Kuzmiskis, as his company has recently announced plans for a 3-day testing clinic that will be coming to Lloydminster on February 14th. Mike, thanks for doing this.
Thanks for having me on.
So your company was recently recognized for its work in Lacrete, which is an isolated community in northern Alberta. And a quote from you, which has since gone somewhat viral, is your labeling of the pandemic being over in Lacrete. So I guess my first question is, in a time where Alberta is seeing a higher positivity rate than ever before over the past 2 years, do you think it's important that your quote isn't taken out of the specific context of this 700-person community?
I think there's a few comments there. Obviously, you still have people landing in hospital, you still have people landing in the ICU, and you still have people passing away. My first comment on your question would be the use of case counts as the metric right now. Okay, just because someone's getting sick We all have gotten sick in the past with various things. Just because someone's getting sick is not the end of the world. If vaccinated people can get COVID and they can test positive, you could have 100% vaccination rate and still have COVID cases through the roof. So using infection rates or case counts is not an accurate metric, and it's irresponsible, quite honestly. You want to stick to hospitalizations, things like that? Yes. Directly related to COVID, not from COVID. Sorry, not with COVID, but from COVID? Yes, I'm on board with that. In Lacrete, what you have is a case of small town, did not really follow many of the lockdown social isolation mandates, which means there was a lot of intermingling, like I used to like to use the church example on Sundays, everybody going to church on Sundays. So you're getting a lot of that transmission in the community. So we saw that. What came out of Lacrete that's very interesting is an 89% positivity rate for COVID antibodies among the unvaccinated. So these people have encountered COVID, they've successfully fought it off, and now they have very durable natural immunity. Now, the term natural immunity has been slammed all over the place, that it's some sort of anti-science and you wear a tin hat. But all I can do is point to the articles and the studies that come out that I've seen that talk about how it's significantly better, more durable, and longer lasting than vaccines. So if you have a community that's a small town community and you have a sample size of about a third of the community and you have an 89% positivity rate, you've, based on the government's own markers for herd immunity, you potentially have reached herd immunity in that community. And in my opinion, they're done. Now, I understand CBC saying it's irresponsible and people still need to be cautious. Sure. But continuing to put the fear of death into everybody for 2 years when it may not be warranted also isn't the right move. It's unbalanced. So those are my comments came from. In my opinion, from what I'm reading and what I'm seeing and seeing an 89% positivity, I think Lacrete is in very, very good shape. And that's where my comments came from.
For those who are interested in potentially getting a test then, iCor Blood Services, of course, is a private company and you are charging for your testing services. So for people who are interested, could you just speak to why it's so important to test for these antibodies and how or why maybe it's justified in spending $100 on the test?
Sure. So, and this is speaking to both vaccinated and unvaccinated individuals. Your protection against COVID-19 is directly related to antibody titers and the strength of the antibodies that your body has created, either against the vaccine or against natural infection. There's no threshold to indicate at what level your antibody titers mean safety and which level they don't, right? And that's a toss-up. But certainly if you're on the high end of the range where the test caps out at 250 units per mil, if you're on the high end, you have pretty good assurance that you have very good protection. So we've seen people come in, roughly 10% of vaccinated people come in that score 0 or very, very low on the antibody test. Now, obviously, we have people that come in that have never been vaccinated that have a 250 and are very well protected. So primarily, it's a gauge to see just how protected you are against COVID. And that may help you decide if you're going to go get the 4th shot. That may help you decide if you're not going to get the shot. It's just important to have information when you're making medical decisions. We are not guaranteeing, we are not talking or selling this as it's going to mean anything aside from personal information. This is not a free pass for anything. You don't get to go against government mandates, none of that. That's not what this is about. What the exercise is, though, as a community, is to see where your community is at as a whole. And based on recent comments from the Pfizer CEO saying vaccines are not effective against Omicron, and recent conversations from the WHO and European Union regulators saying that they are very hesitant to advise any further boosters due to compromising the risk of the immune system, you're kind of in a tough spot right now where the ones that we have don't work and the ones you might get aren't recommended. So checking to see if you have some natural immunity or checking to see what your levels are, potentially a good idea.
Thanks so much for your time today, Mike.
Yeah, not a problem.
And now it's time to head over to Shelby Clark, who has a first look at your weather forecast.
Thanks so much, Jason. Now taking a first look at your weather forecast. For here in the border city, we are sitting at -4. With that wind chill, it does feel close to -12 degrees. So we did see a slightly cooler day today compared to what we've been seeing earlier on in the week. But we are seeing a lot more cloud coverage throughout the day. So hopefully everybody kind of bundle up a little bit more and enjoyed their time outside still, because we aren't seeing those extreme cold temperatures as we were before. And now switching over to temperatures across the region for Alberta and Saskatchewan. On the Alberta side, most spots are seeing around -3, -4 degrees. Vegreville is sitting at -5 right now. And now switching over to our Saskatchewan side here, they're seeing some slightly cooler temperatures compared to the Alberta side. Isla Cross is at -7. A lot of -5s on the map here, while Green Lake and Macklin are both at -6 degrees. -4 in Pearson, and North Battleford is just hitting -3. And for North Battleford, they will be going down to a low of -6 degrees. They will be seeing a slightly more cloud coverage throughout the night. And tomorrow they will be seeing a beautiful Saturday just to start off their weekend there with +1 throughout the day, and they will be seeing a mix of some sun and cloud. Switching over to Cold Lake now, they'll be going down to a low of -4 degrees, so they will be seeing a little bit more cloudier skies throughout the evening and night as well. They will be seeing around -10 with that wind chill, and tomorrow they'll be seeing +3, and they will be seeing a lot more of a sunnier day. And for here in the border city, we'll be going down to a low of -3, so we will be cooling down slightly, but we will be still seeing a beautiful evening low and throughout the night. So as I was saying before, give those cords a break. Don't bother plugging in your vehicles for now. And we will be seeing some cloudier skies, but tomorrow we will be seeing a nice Saturday with a mix of some sun and cloud, and we'll be seeing at +3. And I wanted to show off some of your photo submissions. Thank you to everyone that submitted to our Facebook page throughout the week. You can continue to do so throughout the week, and for next week I will continue to use them throughout the week on my weather segments. And this one's from Reneel here. This is a nice shot. I thought it showed a beautiful photo there of Moosomin First Nation. Almost looks like a nice shot over the lake showing off the snow, and also a nice sunset shot there too. So thank you to everyone that submitted nice weather photos online. And that's all I got for now. We'll have more coming up after the break.
Welcome back. The first annual Cattlemen's Call begins today, and there's going to be over 80 head of cattle on display all weekend. With more, here's Thomas Waldman.
The first event of the year for the Lloydminster Agriculture Exhibition Association aims to connect purebred cattle breeders with local commercial buyers.
Our goal is to create a hospitality and marketing-oriented atmosphere, just to create conversation and help connect the bull buyers and sellers in our area.
The barns were opened at 9 a.m. today. 2 shows took place: the Winter Classic Heifer Jackpot and the Rising Stars Yearling Bull Show. The Bull Session Social will take place this evening, which will provide hospitality to buyers and producers. One of the reasons the Cattlemen's Call was created was to replace a previous event held by the exhibition for a century.
So prior to launching Cattlemen's Call, the Lloyd exhibition hosted a mainstay event for 102 years, that being the Lloyd Bull Sale, also known as Pride of the Prairies. So after that event retired, after its 102nd year, much of that committee decided to get together and evolve our event into something new. So rather than people bringing their bulls to our sale, we're now creating a space for them to still bring cattle, but rather than go through a live auction ring, it's more or less an event to meet new buyers and network a little bit.
Tomorrow will be the final day of the Cattlemen's Call, as we will see the Pair of Bulls show, as well as the Pen of 3 Bulls show, and the Breeders' Herd. Thomas Wildman, Primetime Local News.
And now let's take a look at today's agriculture prices. And now we'll follow up on last week. City Council has announced a location for Lloydminster's new arena complex. Evan Kenny and I caught up for more details on the future of the site.
And again, overall, a lot of compliments so far from the community. There's always concerns how we're going to pay for it, and that is a challenge. So that's going to make my job a little tougher again as we go after that grant money, but we'll continue to pursue that with the provincial and federal levels as soon as possible.
That was Mayor Gerald Albers after City Council on Monday. Now, Jace, It's been a number of days here since the city announced the location and some tentative plans for the new arena complex. What has the initial reaction been from residents of Lloydminster?
Yeah, I had the opportunity to talk with Mayor Gerald Albers on Friday after their special council meeting when they selected the location, and then again this week on Monday. And so far, he said he's heard relatively positive feedback from a lot of people. There's been some negative comments of people wanting maybe this money put into other projects, but the main reason that the city is going ahead and pushing forward with this arena and really going aggressively forward is because they have been doing engineering reports on different city facilities, and one came back recently that says that the Civic Center has between 2 and 5 years left in its lifespan, and they don't want to lose that ice surface, something happen, and then the Bobcats need to go play somewhere else for a season. So this is something that they really want to get done now. There's also some grant money that's up for grabs, one-time grant money, so they really want to try and take advantage of that grant money if they can. So big news from last week is they officially selected a location. So they selected a city-owned piece of land just south of Gold Horse Casino and east of 40th Ave. So that is where they selected for the location. Now, some of the pros of that space is it has good access to main highways. It also already has water and sewer connections there, and there's also potential for growth and development coming out of that space. So there was a few other options, one up by Lloyd X and another one on the Alberta side, but both of those were above the tracks, and that was something that the city didn't want to have to build something above the tracks. They wanted something that was very easily accessible to people across the city, and then they also wanted it on the Saskatchewan side since they are going for a Saskatchewan grant as well.
Now, Jace, you know, obviously the location has now been selected. Just take us a little deeper into what some of the plans of the new arena could be.
Yeah, so they're still in the planning and design phase, but the tentative plan is to have between a 2,000 and 2,500 event arena. And this would be the kind of focal point of an event kind of district where they would also have a community rink attached there. So there would be 2 ice surfaces. They also want to have an outdoor ice surface there. There's also plans to possibly have a skate park there, and they also want to have around 6 slow pitch diamonds, and there's also a stormwater pond on site that they want to kind of develop, have trails around there, parking for this whole facility, and have this be a year-round space for the city. So it's not just an arena. They want this to be an event space that's going to also spur hopefully some future investment and growth around that area as well.
We're not over duplicating anything. We have a shortage of ball fields. We hear that repeatedly year after year. That's been there since I came on council in 2016. I heard about it, and I know council has heard about it ever since. So we're trying to address some of the extras that make a community a great place to live by having that opportunity, and by the enhancement of building something that, planning to build something that has the ability to have multiple use year round. I think that's what people look at as the community.
You know, it gives the opportunity to also bring in different levels, whether it be provincial or national. You know, and you see the history that Lloydminster's had here in hosting, and the big crowds always come out to those events. And I think, you know, it becomes a primary spot, and then it just adds to the energy of whatever, whether it's curling or hockey. There's just a lot of excitement in it, and it fills the arena with a lot of you know, just emotion and energy, and every player and athlete would want to play in front of those kind of numbers. And I think it'd just be really exciting and an opportunity that you know, people would look forward to, no matter the age or the level. I think it'd just be really exciting.
And currently, the Centennial Civic Center holds about 1,700 people. Now, if the arena were to go to that 2,000 to 2,500 gap, it would be near the top of the AJHL, with Grand Prairie sitting at the top just below 3,000 seats there. And as well, it would be similar to Camrose that can host about 2,500 seats. Now, Jace, the arena is to be finished in 2025. Obviously, there's quite a few steps in between now and then. Just take us through what is next for the city here.
And I just wanted to touch on that seating too. They're still in the design and consultation phase. So going out of this, they're going to start consulting with people in the community, specifically that area, but broadly across the city, to see exactly what the city wants out of this new arena. So they're aiming for that 2,000 to 2,500. Could go a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. That'll be through their consultation phase. So that's going to be coming up soon. They're going to be talking with citizens here, finding out exactly what we want from that entire district as well. And like I said, also funding is a big thing. So this project has an over $50 million price tag. So it's going to be a big chunk of change for the city to put in a big investment. So they're applying for a grant from the government of Saskatchewan. Now, this is a one-time grant. It's not going to be up again. They made sure to get in before the January 11th deadline. And they're hoping to get $13 million from Saskatchewan and then an additional $20 million from the federal government. So that would be $33 million they get from other levels of government, and then they would then have to figure out, okay, how are we going to fund the rest of this project? So there's still a lot of work to go. I know city administration and Mayor Alberts told me that's the next steps for him, is talking with people at the provincial level and also at the federal level and say, here's where we're at, this is why we need this money, and just crossing their fingers and hoping that they can get that grant funding, and it'll make this project move a lot sooner because, yeah, the lifespan of the Civic Center is 2 to 5 years, so they're hoping to have a new arena open by 2025.
Exciting, exciting news. Thank you for this, Jace. We will be continuing to follow this story as things develop.
And now it's time to head over to Shelby Clark, who has another look at our weather forecast.
Thanks so much, Jace. Now taking another look at your weather forecast, we'll be looking at the central region of Alberta and Saskatchewan here. On the Alberta side, we're seeing some slightly cooler temperatures than what we've been seeing throughout the week, but we are still seeing those single-digit points. -6 in Edson and Whitecourt, while it's -3 in Rocky Mount House and Edmonton, -2 in Red Deer and Athabasca, while Jasper is at that plus degree point, hitting that 1 mark. Now switching over to the Saskatchewan side here, they're seeing some slightly cooler temperatures compared to the Alberta side, with -8 in Prince Albert and Saskatoon. North Battleford is at -3 degrees, while Meadow Lake is just hitting that -6 mark as well. Cold Lake is twinning with us here in the border city at -4, and Melfort is the coolest at -11. Now switching over to our northern region of the provinces, they are seeing some warmer temperatures compared to what they have been seeing throughout the week. -14 in South End and Wollaston Lake, while it is -18 in Flin Flon, -9 in Stony Rapids, while La Ronge is just hitting that -10 point, -13 up in Uranium City, and the rest are seeing -5 degrees. Switching over to this side here, they're seeing some slightly warmer temperatures, especially down in this area, compared to what the Saskatchewan side is seeing, with Slave Lake and Peace River at -4, -5. Grand Prairie is at -9, almost hitting that -10 point there. Fort McMurray is the warmest, just hitting that +1 mark, and Fort Chipewyan is at -5, while High Level is at -11. Switching over to our southern region now, they aren't struggling too much. They are kind of what we are seeing in the central region as well. Lethbridge is at +5, while Medicine Hat is just hitting that 1 mark, -5 in Coronation, and the rest are just at that 0 point. Now over here, they're seeing some slightly cooler temperatures, with Regina and Yorkton at -11, -12. It is -4 in Swift Current, while Kindersley is just a degree cooler there. And Moose Jaw and Estevan are almost at that -10 point as well. But as we go back across the region, the temperatures overnight tonight, we will be seeing some nice lows to kind of head our way through the night into the weekend. Here we are seeing a lot of single-digit points for our lows, so we're looking to see a warm night tonight. -3 for Wainwright, Provost, and Bonnyville that they will be seeing. A low of -4 for Murnum and Pearceland. It'll be a low of -5 and 6 for Paradise Hill, Unity, and Meadow Lake. And Isla Cross will be seeing a low of -8 degrees. But we won't be seeing a high chance of some freezing rain or flurries throughout the night. And most spots will be seeing some cloudier skies. And seeing temperatures tomorrow for our weekend across the region. As you can see, we'll be seeing some beautiful temperatures there for here, especially here in the middle of January, ranging from around 1 to +4 degrees in most spots on the map. And now ending off with our 7-day forecast for here in the border city, we'll be seeing that nice temperature of 3 tomorrow on Saturday with a mix of some sun and cloud, ending off slightly cloudier at -1. So we will still be seeing a nicer weekend. So if you want to get some stuff done outside, take advantage, because as you can see, next Wednesday we will be cooling down, especially at that -26 point with a mix of some sun and cloud there. And then Thursday we'll be seeing some icier conditions and seeing a high chance of some flurries once again at -10. And next Friday we will be seeing -9. So we will be cooling down just a bit next week compared to what we've been seeing this week. But for now, we will be seeing a beautiful weekend. That's all I got for now. We'll have more coming up after the break. I'm joined here now with author Katherine Hudson and your newest book, A Demon's Trade, released at the end of 2021. And the book is the first in the new series, Damned If She Does. So could you just tell me a bit about this new series?
I'm really excited about the Damned If She Does series. It's a spin-off of the Accessory to Magic series I released in 2021 with a few of the same sort of side characters, and there are a lot of Easter eggs that come back into it. It's my normal MO with dark urban fantasy. There's lots of action, lots of blood and gore, dark magic, and the main character, Collie Sullivan, is a half Mawtog. It's one of the creatures that I created for the Accessory to Magic series and this universe, and the entire world thinks she's a demon. So it's going a little bit into the darker side of the world that I built for Accessory to Magic, but I'm very excited about this series.
Yes, I was reading the description online as I was doing a bit of my research, and it really sounds interesting. I might have to read it myself, but could you just tell me a bit about, you talked about how this was a part of the Accessory to Magic series, and it's still in that same universe, but just what was the inspiration exactly for, wanting to start this series?
The inspiration for Collie actually came from, well, the cover for this book, believe it or not. My cover designer is an incredibly talented person, Christian Bentlin, and he has done pretty much all of my covers for everything. And it was actually I wasn't aware of it at the time, but it was a charity cover that he had created to get medical supplies and masks out to some people in Southeast Asia that he had connections with in a hospital there. And I just loved the cover so much that inspired Collie's character, and I got the cover, and I had no idea where this money was going to. So it was a win-win for everybody across the board. And he said that it was inspired by The Witcher, Netflix's show adaptation of the book and video games and all of it. And then, dealing with half demons, there's a demon-esque character in the Accessory to Magic series who is very closely related to the main character of this Damned If She Does series, and I won't give any spoilers there.
And speaking of that, I was taking a look at your Amazon, and I can see the second book is already scheduled, but without giving too much away, no spoilers, what is your plan for the series?
My plan for the series is very dark, just like my plans for all of my series. There is something of a pseudo love story through this series. I'm breaking more into bringing romance into all my incredibly dark and very action-packed books. The Accessory to Magic series had an enemies to lovers romance that I think, well, it drove me crazy. It drove the characters crazy. I know it drove my readers crazy. We were all very satisfied in the end. I'm playing with the best friends to lovers trope within a lot of violence and inner demons that all of my characters have coming out as well. The Damned If She Does series is slated for 8 books. So the second book, A Demon's Craft, comes out in February, at the end of February this year. And the other 6 books will be relatively quickly launched, about 6 weeks in between each. So the entire series will be finished before the end of 2022. And then I'll be most likely diving into another series within the same universe. I just love it so much. It's been doing really well.
Well, that sounds good for fans. They'll have lots of content of yours to read throughout the year. And, you talked about the fan response to the Accessory to Magic series, but just what have you heard so far about this new series?
The biggest thing I think is that they're excited to be back in the same world, to have another strong female lead character who has some serious issues that she needs to work through right off the bat. I've had readers tell me already how surprised they were that they didn't put together the connection between Collie Sullivan in this series and Jessica Northwood from the Accessory to Magic series. the whole point for me, at least, it was, yes, it's the same world. Everyone knows right off the bat. I love leaving breadcrumbs for my readers. So if they don't pick up right away who these characters are to each other, I'm very excited for them to further pick up those pieces later on, because it's a really exciting connection, and it's fun to, put in multiple layers of mystery there and little Easter eggs all over the place.
If anyone is looking to get any of the books or just any of your other works, where should they go?
All of my books are available on Amazon. These two series specifically are in Kindle Unlimited. So if you're looking for ebooks, those are only through Amazon. And then all of my books in paperback, it can be found across the board where good books are sold. It's Amazon, of course, and there's Barnes & Noble, Apple Books, Kobo, any major book retailer, and bookshop.org, which also helps support local bookstores as well. And then everything about everything I do can be found on my website. It's CatherineHudsonFiction.com.
Well, thank you so much for your time today, Catherine.
Thank you for having me. This has been fun again.
The Lloyd X Grounds is a busy place this week. The first ever Cattlemen's Call is underway. It got underway today, but will continue tomorrow. And this is a networking event that is going to feature a number of different cattle shows. The doors are going to open tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Entry is free. And then the shows get underway at 10 a.m. and they're going to run right throughout the day. It should be a great event, so you can stop by and check out the first ever Cattlemen's Call at the Lloyd X tomorrow. There's still time for you to get registered for the Vermilion Mental Health and Wellness Conference that's coming up on Wednesday. This year it's going to be a virtual conference. It'll be all online, but there's a number of different guest speakers that are going to touch on a number of topics, including mindfulness in the workplace, understanding loss and grief, a guide to self-care, and so much more. It's $25 to take part, and you can get registered right now online at vermilionalbertachamber.com. And the Connect Club of Lloydminster hopes you can join them for their Yogathon for CF that they're hosting Saturday, January the 29th. You can register for one class or take a couple of classes and support a great cause. You'll find more details at lloydminsterconnects.com. Well, whatever you choose to do this weekend, we hope you stay safe and stay healthy.
What's Happening is brought to you by Northern Factory Workwear, Circle Drive East, Saskatoon, and Highway 17 South, Lloydminster.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery and Furniture House, downtown Lloydminster.
Joining us today for this week's entertainment panel is the lovely Abby St. John. Thank you so much for giving us the time today.
Of course.
Now, we're here to speak about some upcoming projects that's coming out kind of like in the future here. This one especially starting off is a 1-hour show of Degrassi, and it's supposed to be in 2023 in the spring on HBO Max. And we were reading a little bit about it, and it looks like it's going to be pretty interesting because it even says it's supposed to be darker than some of the last, Degrassi shows, Toronto-based shows. So like for this one, it's supposed to be a little bit darker, and there's supposed to be 10 episodes when it first comes out on HBO Max. So it's going to be interesting what they're going to do with this one.
Yes, definitely. I mean, Degrassi has been an iconic piece of, I guess, Canadian television for decades. I mean, my parents watched Degrassi Junior High back in the day when that was still on. And then we moved into Degrassi High. And then I grew up with Degrassi Next Generation. So there's just generations of Canadians, especially, who have grown up with this show. And now it's coming back, and it's coming back on HBO Max. We don't know much about it, not much in the way of cast. The series will be coming from showrunners Laura Azzopardi from The Bold Type and then Julia Cohen from Riverdale. They will be running this show, and I think it's going to be interesting. Degrassi is such an iconic show that deals with real-life teenage issues going through high school, puberty, love, heartbreak, teen pregnancy. All of those issues that teens face are in Degrassi, and Degrassi has been such a huge part of so many generations that it's almost fitting that they bring it back. I mean, without Degrassi, I mean, Canadian television for teens, what else is there? Degrassi has always been there. And so I think it's fitting that it's coming back. And I'm very excited to see what they do with it and how they give it almost like a new life. Like you said, it's going to be a little bit more darker. I wonder how that's going to look on screen, because Degrassi does hit those, darker issues that they have dealt with in the past. They've dealt with suicide, teen pregnancy, sexual assault. They've dealt with all of those issues. And so I'm curious to see what they bring into this next generation of Degrassi classmates. I'm very excited. Like you said, 10 one-hour episodes will be airing sometime next year, sometime in the spring, early summer. Also adding on to that, Degrassi Next Generation will be streaming on HBO Max as well. So those fans of that season or that part of Degrassi can watch it on HBO Max as well.
Yeah, and it's really good to hear, like, for the Degrassi fans out there, and the fact that you said it's coming on like HBO Max now that they can actually watch it. I'm sure they're going to be excited and kind of it's good that they added that on HBO Max because they can use this time until spring of 2023 to be able to just binge everything and be able to catch up and just see what it's all about. Even for the people that haven't watched any of the Degrassi shows like earlier on, they can now use this time to catch up before that new one comes out. But I agree, I am fascinated to see how it is supposed to be darker, because for me, I agree with how they touch base on a lot of those topics, and just seeing if it's supposed to be darker on screen. I'm wondering what we're going to be seeing and more information on like who's all going to be cast as well. But another project in the making that we wanted to speak about is the Audrey Hepburn biopic that's supposed to be, we don't know the exact date of when it's supposed to be coming out exactly yet, but we do know that they casted Rooney Mara to play her. And from seeing the photos, she looks a lot like her. Like they did a really good casting for the Audrey Hepburn to be able to play her. So it's going to be fascinating to see what all information comes out later on in the future.
Yes. The plot is being kept under wraps as of yet. Rooney Mara, she has been starred as Audrey Hepburn, and I agree. I've seen pictures of her, and if you've watched her movies, there's a very big resemblance between the two actresses. My guess is that this movie is going to be around the iconic actress and how she became the star that she was over a 4-decade career. She got EGOT status, which means she won an Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony throughout her career. She has iconic roles from Breakfast at Tiffany's to My Fair Lady. Her career spanned over several decades. She's iconic, she's legendary, and it's going to be very interesting to get a glimpse of who she was. And we don't know what this film is going to be about, but we know that it's going to be iconic because of how legendary Audrey Hepburn was in the film industry and in Hollywood and on stage, and just throughout her entire career. She is iconic, so I bet this movie is just going to be as iconic as the actress. I'm very excited. I think they picked a great role, or they picked a great actress to play her role, very similar in feature in looks and features. And Rooney Mara has had success in her career as well, getting a couple nominations for Academy Awards. She's known for The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, so she has a career of herself. So I think they picked the right person to play her.
Yeah, it's going to be great to see all the more information that they bring out about it, just who else is going to be casted along with Rooney Mara. And yeah, from seeing that resemblance, I thought they already did a great job starting off. So it's going to be cool to see. Yeah, I agree with the plot on what it's going to be exactly about. And everybody, like Audrey Hepburn's a well-known, like in the entertainment film industry and everything, especially what you were saying, that she got like EGOT awards, like won so many in her career, that I think everybody's going to be kind of excited to see this biopic of her. But that's all the time we have, unfortunately, for this second entertainment panel of 2022. Thanks again so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Ending off with taking another quick look at your 7-day forecast. We'll see a beautiful temperature for the weekend on Saturday there, even seeing a nice one with -1 on Sunday. And then next week we will cool down just a bit with that 0 mark on Monday with a little bit more icier conditions. We'll be seeing -16 and -26 Tuesday and Wednesday, and then seeing -10 and -9 next Thursday and Friday.
All right, well, thank you, Shelby, for that. And thank you for joining us for Primetime Local News. Stick with us for our next hour because at the end of that, we'll be awarding our Pet Pad gift card. We'll see you then.